we'll discuss the project which is very close to my heart, and this was very intentional because uh, you all being such eminent people in your field, and uh, dealing with theory with you would have been a disaster, I guess. So I thought, why not share my experience? Maybe someday when I get a chance to meet some of you, uh, it will be an honor for me that you all go through the experiences I share with today, and maybe I get a chance to learn from you all. Sometimes when I meet, pandemic, taking most of the chances for meetings and all, but hopefully this will be over soon. So the project, and then at the end, I would try to explain how the kind of researches we do in consulting are a little different, and how we use those researches for our project deliveries. Most of the analysis and the points would be related to management consultancy, and that too the kind of projects I particularly doing all through my career, and even today I do some of those projects. So introducing myself, me, ma'am, told you everything about what is there. So just a quick brief about me. I'm a qualified hospital, so MBA in hospital administration from the University, and I'm still studying. I'm a facility program with Accelerate now. So that's another opportunity I got during the lockdown. Why not use the time to back to studies? So that's what I'm doing today. But then alongside, I'm running two separate organizations. One is a startup which I started after leaving PwC. In fact, I left PwC to start that company. And sorry. So I left PwC to start that company called Reheal Clinics. Now, Reheal Clinics is a physical digital healthcare delivery model for tier 3 cities and rural area. And alongside, I'm doing consulting work, which I have done almost all my life. Since the beginning of my career, I have been a healthcare consultant. So I'm doing so Reheal Consultants is another division which I'm running. So that's me. I mean, my work experience, I started with health insurance company, the Family Health Plan. That's a Apollo Hospital owned venture. One of the first third-party administrators of health insurance. So health insurance was my first job. After that, I joined a chain of eye clinics, eye hospitals called Center for Sight. It's a Delhi-based center, and when I joined, they had only 3 centers. Today, they have more than 60 centers across India. So I was lucky to join at that time, and after that, I moved to consulting, and since 2007, I have been in consulting all through my life, except I started my own venture. So as I said, I'm having 2 ventures right now. One is Reheal Clinics. Now, Reheal Clinics is a very unique venture, so to say, in healthcare. A dream which have been brewing for long, all corporate experience of mine. I have been dealing with healthcare startups, healthcare companies all through my life, and realized that most of them are located in locations where actually it's sufficiently available, and not available, you don't find quality healthcare services. So with that idea, I started this clinic. I call this a physical digital venture, because again, during my consulting experience, especially one of the largest digital health projects with our I realized that just digital is not going to solve any problem of healthcare. It's a misnomer that people say that, digital is going to change the whole landscape and everything. I mean, unless until you have quality labs, radiology, pharmacy, just providing teleconsultation or anything like that would not help any kind of patients in rural area and cities. The doctors, the qualification, the experience, exposure of doctors in tier 3 cities and rural area is minimal. Many of the times they don't know the current scenario. So the venture I started was a physical digital model. With these 4 basic premises, in one of the studies we did during my initial days of my career told me that, people up to 500 kilometers to meet a super specialist. 500 to 1,000 kilometers just to meet a 200 kilometers just to see a specialist. So that was the factor I started this. But then even if let's assume we take a Naresh Trehan, Vedanta, Gurgaon to a small place somewhere in UP and Bihar, like my center is in Begusarai, Bihar. Even if you take Dr. Trehan, he'll not be able to do much. Why? Because he doesn't have support of quality diagnostics. Even so, quality diagnostics was another thing which had to be opened. So each of my center has very high quality and, lab and radiology center. And then even if diagnostics is there, many of us don't know and don't understand that India is hub for spurious and substandard medicine drugs. Up to 25% of medicine in India available is either spurious or substandard. Spurious and substandard, 2 words I'm sure most of us know. Spurious is, completely fake drug. It doesn't have any molecule of the supposed medicine. Substandard is what is in high quantity in India. Especially the generic medicine is most of the suppliers, manufacturers in medicine have substandard productions. Substandard is where you have than half of required molecules in a particular medicine. So I was talking to a very senior from first Apollo, and he said, Ankur, whenever I travel to Germany or Europe, I buy paracetamol, crocin from there. So that was, eye-opening, because, crocin is the daily drug. It's over the counter. And that doctor doesn't believe in buying crocin even from stores in India. He thinks they may be fake. There is no way to know that, So that was another factor. And all of these 3 constitute into organizing the healthcare scenario. Today, it's highly unorganized, and that's the bigger problem. We'll see it reach to the tier 3, tier 2, tier 3. We'll realize that, one of the most unorganized sector, one of the highest regulated yet least controlled sector in India is healthcare. So that's the ultimate aim, get the healthcare towards the whole industry. This is the whole model. I mean, a physical clinic, a physical lab, the only thing not physical is doctors, for which are tied up with Medantas and Fortises and Narayanas of the world. Almost all the doctors are available for all the clinics of mine. So anybody can take appointment as he would go physically and take the appointment and see a doctor at my center. This is to create. So this is like a oasis in a desert, because in these small rural areas, you don't see quality infrastructure. The nursing home, the kind of nursing homes you experience, the kind of clinic you experience are so shady that after looking at the private hospitals, you realize what kind of quality would they be giving. So one of the proxies I used, there is no scientific basis to tell a consumer, in this case, which is patient, the quality of a center, medical center. So I used this as a proxy, the infrastructure as a proxy of a healthcare center. It should look clean, it should look beautiful, it should have same look and feel as a corporate hospital. That's why we created a beautiful interior and we kept on maintaining it to highest of possible standards, though it was very difficult to do that in a small city. But then we tried to do that. We created this kind of environment. The lab is the best possible lab in 8 to 10 surrounding districts. So, and then the kind of tests we do have been sent to Delhi or a Bombay or a Calcutta now. Cardiac markers, cancer markers. So the idea was that if we open up super specialty clinics, we should have that level of diagnostics as in that city. If Dr. Tehan is seeing a patient and writing a prescription for a diagnostic test, most of it should be available in the location on the same day result basis. So that was the basis of starting this. The teleconsultation component of it was also enhanced for that time. Till that time, when I started around 3 years back, the telemedicine was basically a desktop or laptop on which a patient would see a doctor. The internet quality would be shady. You cannot hear the doctor. You cannot see him properly. The faith of patient in a patient consultation scenario was minimalistic, zero. So the design was very important for it. I have a 55-inch huge screen for a teleconsultation, super high resolution camera, which projects the doctor to the patient and patient to the doctor in such a high that the patient feels that he is physically present in front of the doctor. Because of the large screen, you have a human size sitting in front of you, and the bezels are so far apart of the TV that you feel that you are present in the doctor's room. So that was the first which I did in the whole scenario. Though it costed a lot, but then that's the experience patient needed. Have faith in medicine, in medical system. Unless until the patient believes in the medical system, he cannot be treated properly. Second thing which I did was, you can see a besides the TV. Now that's a device which has got many of the diagnostic components which a doctor's clinic should have: blood pressure, BP, ECG, pulse oximeter, all these height, weight, BMI sensors. These are present in this device, and they are shared live during the consultation to the doctor. If the doctor's the patient can put his hand inside the device and blood pressure would be shown on the doctor's screen live. So that kind of physical touch experience was also, we tried to give that physical touch experience also to the doctor. Then we had a digital electronic medical would be shared with the doctor, so doctor see everything we feed into the all the previous reports, all the previous files of the patient. He can write the prescription, even that prescription, and you can see it here. This is the actual room which I have. You can see the device besides the TV, the camera, everything. This is the experience I created. You know, this was the first consultation at our center, and just a quick to give you a feel of how the consultations happen. Let me play a few seconds of this video.
लगता था कि मेरा पैर जो है नॉन वायलेंस हो रहा है, तो शुरू हुआ था 4 साल पहले शुरू हुआ, लगता था कि मेरा वायलेंस हो रहा है पैर। जब दवा का चला, पटना से मेरा इलाज चल रहा है, इनका दवा चल ही रहा है, और ये सब कुछ हम भूलते हैं बहुत ज्यादा। पहले हम बहुत था कि बहुत ज्यादा घबराहट हमको होता। माइग्रेन की बीमारी है, लेकिन माइग्रेन के साथ आपको टेंशन भी है, टेंशन को कम करने की दवाई लगाओ। कितना बुक में दिखाना है इसको।
So you can see the kind of experience patient is having there. It's almost like being physically present in doctor's office. That plays huge role when patients see the doctor in this. The faith in the prescription which doctor writes increases. The chances of getting the diagnostic tests done, which doctor have prescribed, that also increased. That we after a few months of operations, we realized the increase in number of tests which got converted through telemedicine. The medicines patient would buy and consume, that had huge impact. I mean, India, the problem is that we all buy medicines which doctors prescribe, but at times we don't complete the course. That's the mentality most of the Indian patients have. It has been seen in many of the researches that patients don't complete the course, which has huge impact on the diseases. So this, that all increases, the faith increases, the patient's behavior changes towards the doctor and the whole system. So design always plays a huge role, very important role in any of the system, especially in healthcare. And unfortunately, doctors and healthcare system guys don't realize this. The ultimate aim of my center is this, that, and sharing a made-up story in that sense with you. Let's assume a daughter-in-law works in a large IT company in Bangalore, and a mother-in-law stays in a small city. Meerut is not small. Let's say my own city, the Begusarai, where the clinic has started. So the daughter-in-law can book an appointment for her mother-in-law, and she can come to our center to see the doctor. At the same moment, the daughter-in-law can be live on the same consultation. So that just imagine the day that happens. I mean, even if they are thousands of kilometers apart, still they can be almost in a same virtual room while seeing the doctor for the mother-in-law. I mean, that's all the mother-in-law's dream, that mother-in-law takes care of that kind. And this is not it. I mean, after the consultation, the prescription directly goes to both the daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law can book medicines with us. We will provide medicines at the home. The daughter-in-law can book all the tests for the mother-in-law. We'll get the collection sample collected. The payments can be made online. This is how we are trying to connect the, we're trying to recreate the joint family function. We used to be in our society earlier, but today, because of our works, because of the disparity between cities, that has changed, and this kind of family structure has, which is when the parents are old. So this is the ultimate dream. We haven't reached there yet. Rather, we are too early, still after 2.5 years. So ultimately, we want to reach to this level. Alongside with, we are also running the consulting venture, where we are 3-4 people who have come together, the senior people. We work big fours like PT. We worked in corporate hospitals like Apollo Care. One guy has also worked in the phone. They had a digital department. He has worked. We are startup entrepreneurs, 2 of us. We have worked on non-government organizations projects and government organizations. We have worked on government projects during whole consulting year. The best part of our consulting is that we are very domain-specific people. Rather than generalists doing healthcare, we are healthcare people doing healthcare. So we do almost all the things in healthcare: strategic planning, services and business planning, organizations and governance, market planning, and for all sectors. I mean, hospitals, diagnostic centers, digital health, pharmacies, all health insurance companies. We have worked with them. We keep on working with them, and we have a concept to commissioning kind of a portfolio, from visioning about a healthcare project to actually planning it, to actually implementing it. We have a firm which does only healthcare. So and finally commissioning the hospital and handing it over to the owners. End-to-end services we have. Operations optimization, marketing and branding. These are few of my colleagues. Ritika is 1 year senior to me. She herself been an entrepreneur in medical education. Dr. Cheshta is a PhD in public health. She enriches our team, public health experience. Mohit have been a operations guy, have operated hospitals. He has been a digital health czar. We have done several projects, as I mentioned, all across healthcare portfolio. Now, this was introduction, my and my company's introduction. Coming to the next stage. So, consulting and healthcare consulting in particular is very different from many other industries projects. In this, we have realized over the years that client is somebody who understands very little about health. Most of the clients, even many healthcare guys, many of the doctors don't understand their market. They may be a great doctor. They may be very good in their own clinical cases. They may have been running successful clinics. They have been running successful nursing homes, because that doesn't entail structural component of hospital. The moment you start thinking of a hospital, many of them don't understand what a hospital is, how hospital functions, how much it costs, or how they have to build a hospital, what kind of things they have to do, what kind of financials would entail into a healthcare business. So we face that kind of a humongous problem. Many other industries, we had many other divisions in PwC and Technopack, and that consultants knew what they were asking for. In this case, most of the clients we get have open-ended requirement. Now that creates a problem for overall project, but in specific the researches as well. So most open-ended projects, we have to define the project for the client himself. We have to let the client feel that this is. So our proposal first half many a times always entail that you said this, but this is exactly what you want. Finding the client need is one of the very important components. So how can these briefs be open-ended? Somebody comes to us and from a non-healthcare background, I encountered a automobile dealer, car. He said, Ankur, I have several land banks. Can you, and I have been hearing in this COVID that, healthcare is very important and is going to be great industry. Can you help me, enter healthcare? Now, this is completely open-ended. I mean, you are an auto dealer and you have land and you think you can do healthcare. So fine, but then you should know what to do. Healthcare is a vast subject. You cannot do everything in healthcare. So this kind of open-ended projects we get a lot. Even doctors, I mean, many of the doctors running homes, they earn money and they buy, and they come to us, we have bought a piece of land and we want a hospital, but we don't know what kind of hospital can I come up with. I'm a, say, radiologist, but I want to open a hospital. I'm a physician, but I open a multi-specialty hospital. So we have to define a lot of things for the client. Obviously, closed-ended are many organized players come up with the closed-ended requirements. So one of the most popular and largest number of projects we get is planning for a hospital. So the organized players know how to define it. They would tell you that it has to be specialty with these core facilities. It has to be this many beds because we know we have this much. We have access to this much land and this part of the city. So we need only this much, and you plan that for us. So and actually that's a year project for us. Open-ended projects, we have to be, you know, end to end with the client. We have to guide the client all through the project. So that's what comes up with it. Now research in consulting just one component of the project, though very important component. But then most of the consulting projects with us are strategic consulting projects, and research is a component of it to define the strategy. So we don't do pure researches in such most of our projects. Largely, we never do pure researches, but then research helps us define many of the components of the project, helps us define the strategy of the projects. Obviously, secondary research has a lot of role, but then primary has to be done specifically in healthcare because data is scarce, and reliability of the data is even worse in healthcare. This is one very recent proposal I made for a doctor for a existing hospital. So they wanted to come up with a hospital. The brief client had is that, again, they had a land, they have already got an existing hospital, and they want to expand that hospital into a new facility because that running hospital have been a progressive from a small 2-bed nursing home to a 60-70 bed hospital, and it's an old building, old infrastructure in a gully. So they wanted a new facility. At least the owner was a non-healthcare background, but have been running the hospital for some times. So he had some understanding of it. So we had partially defined this is how we take up a feasibility project, so to say. Obviously, it starts with a secondary research of environmental analysis. Then we get into primary of mapping the healthcare infrastructure, the current provider, competitive analysis, the operational analysis. We also try to map up the patient behavior and target population, all those things. After this secondary and primary data is accumulated, based on that, we identify the need and gap in the whole city of healthcare. We identify which specialties are lacking and which specialties can have more focus in this city and will be a profitable venture in this city. So based on, and then we also define the shortage of beds in city hospitals, and from there we derive how many beds can be built in this hospital. So we project the need of the beds in next 3-4 years, based on, because a hospital will take at least three years to be constructed and commissioned. So that's how research help us defining the project, and then finally we prepare the business plan. And in business plan, I'll show you at the end of this whole thing that what kind of data is derived from the research for the business plans. Now this is the kind of detailing we do for clients in proposal. Again, from the point of view, one, we do have to guide the client because he doesn't understand healthcare and how healthcare projects are done. So detailing done for each of the client, what data points we'll collect, what all questions we'll raise during the assignment, what all answers we'll get during the assignment, and how will be derived. So first point is that the client is not that aware. But second is that, you know, we have to close the whole premise of the project also, because as the client is not that aware, during the project there could be the scope cribs. In consulting, defining and encircling the scope is very important, because if it remains open at any end, the project never finishes. So we have to define the whole scope very strongly, very clearly, Unless until we do that, it becomes a humongous problem for all of us. As I was saying, so environmental analysis is largely secondary research. We do it from various sources, and during explaining the methodology, I'll tell you what kind of sources in healthcare we take, and I'm sure similar sources are available for all others. Socioeconomic, this we have to do for almost all the sectors. Then hospitals, beds. So in this phase, we actually get a high-level understanding of that particular micro market for secondary research as much as possible, so that we can define our primary components also. How much time we'll need, what kind of questionnaires has to be created based on what kind of hospitals are there, what kind of spaces are already available on a high level. So this helps us define the component of the study as well. Now, here we start the primary study. We do have questionnaires for the hospitals and other healthcare providers, and going further, I'll explain how questionnaires actually fail to get us information most of the time, especially in healthcare researches. So our researchers actually convert from questionnaire structured based to open-ended discussion based kind of a meeting-based kind of research. Many of this data also comes from services, companies, the local pharmacy stores, the providers, and other companies. Now, target population and catchment. Many clients come to us telling us, why don't we survey? Why don't we do a population survey to understand the healthcare need in a particular city? I convince many of them that one of the problems in healthcare, and this was a learning from the tier 2, tier 3 study we did for World Bank, that patient is not the decision maker, somebody else is the decision maker. So patient surveys we try to avoid, but then many of the clients not understanding force us to do it, and we do it just for the formality in many of these. Unless it is actually an important component where we know not the healthcare behaviors, but other social behaviors of the patient. Based on all these, we define the service mix, what kind of hospital should he build, how large the hospital should be, how many beds should be there, what should be the distribution of bed. So let's assume he has a large percentage of paying population, which is rich and can afford services. That city should have more of a single room, deluxe kind of a room in a hospital, because a hospital can earn much more from a single room kind of a scenario. The operations cost also increases, but then pricing also increases in the single room. And many of the premium patients do want single room. So that defines the of the hospital. Also, number of beds, as I told you earlier, that we do a need gap analysis of the whole bed kind of a scenario. So, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to, sometimes internet goes off and while presenting, I'm not able to.
The session is quite audible and interesting, sir.
Thank you. Right. So based on that, both primary, secondary, and primary research, we that we do several kinds of researches. There is a hospital research, there is a doctor's physician research, and as I said, rarely we try to do the patient researches unless until we are pushed for it. We try to avoid it because in all the surveys we haven't found much output, much result which we can decipher in that sense. So most of the projects have been a waste of time. Now, business planning, a lot of the components of business plan actually come from the research. We define the pricing, and at the end I'll show you a plan, and then you'll realize what all components in that business plan. I'll show you an Excel model which we create for more feasibility, especially feasibility projects and strategy projects. But then these are the components we give to the client. We tell him clearly, and this shows to the client also what detailing we would do for them. It won't be a straightforward, run-of-the-mill project for a client. The more detail we give them, the more confidence client gets. So defining during the proposal stage itself, all the components of this in a way is also deliverable for the client. He knows what he would be getting at the end of the project. So even say in business plan, the service mix, specialty, critical care, bed components, pricing, infrastructure requirements. So how much, what kind of investment will be done, what kind of built-up area is required, what kind of medical equipments are required, how much will it cost. Human resource, we define to the extent the differentiation between types of nurses also in our models. The types of medics would be in the models. We will see, define each of the staff in the hospital in such a sense. So if a hospital has 500 staff, we actually have 20 to 30 types of staff, and we define each of them. Then financials obviously would always have capital expenditure, the revenues, the P&L, the financial ratios and all. So we define this also for many of the technical guys, especially doctors, really love to see these kind of proposals, because they being high technical in their own field, they rarely are able to encounter these kind of details. Most doctors have loans and they needed a project report for that, and they get it done from a CA, a local CA, who creates a generic. The moment they see these kind of proposals, they realize that we are helping them simulate the project for them. Actually, see hospitals operation for next 5 to 10 years through this kind of a detailed model. So they love it in that sense. So here we have both secondary and primary components always in the research. Most of the secondary data comes from several kinds of sources. Population and economic surveys are done through Census of India. The local state surveys are done. From there we data. Patient population surveys we do ourselves whenever pushed and required. But many of the other data sources also provide that patient and population survey. The secondary sources which have been done in any of the other levels. Consumer data, obviously NSS plays a lot of role, though we have realized that for using NSS data is great for a macro kind of a project where you have to project things. You can use that, but on a micro basis, many a times NSS data is not representative in such scenario, especially the strategy and the consulting projects, where you have very defined project. In that kind of a defined project, using a national level data actually doesn't help much. We have to identify that data ourselves, because not the data for the city population, but the target populations. So if we are creating a niche hospital, a boutique kind of hospital, we need rich understanding. And projecting national level rich populations, healthcare requirement, and putting it on a micro market helps. That's why data we largely use for macro level, or if we cannot find a local source, or we are not able to primarily use the local sources, then we extrapolate the NSS data into the micro market, and we use data. There have been health surveys being done, the family surveys being done earlier. Many of those surveys are now not done by the government, but those data are used. Economic surveys, obviously, consumer data, a lot of it comes from there. The kind of the population which has cars, the population which have mobile phones, that has got a usage. We use that in a sense for the buying behavior of an economic behavior of a patient. Also, we extrapolate that on that. And obviously, as I said, consumer, the patient surveys are also done. Health data, obviously, NSS has a very small component. Some NSSs did not do that, but now I think last few years they have been doing healthcare components in each of the NSS. Then Ministry of Health and Family Planning always, the central and the state level, both do a lot of separate researches. They do produce and give a lot of data, healthcare of the state, and at times district also. Many of that, earlier the National Rural Health Mission, which is now National Health Mission, that had a lot of data sources, the local data sources, district level data sources. Now that NRHM is gone, and NHM actually does not do publish much district level data, so that has become a problem. But the old NRHM district level data so help us a lot in understanding the public health scenario in each of the private projects also. Then there are several societies in India for healthcare. For each, there is a cardiology society, there is a cancer society, ophthalmology society, orthopedic society. They themselves produces a lot of journals. Many of the researchers are published in those journals. Data sources of each of the society at times is more helpful than the government data. The societies, the registration of the doctor, the local local chapters, the district chapters of each of the society help us a lot. The IMA's district society gives us data. That breaks the national data and gives you a very realistic picture of the local scenario. So as I was saying earlier, I mean, most of projects is actually studying the micro market. Only once in a year or twice in a year get a national kind of a project where you have to do many of the states, many of the districts in one go. So for my market, we did a lot on these societies, the local chapters of each of these societies. Then CBH do some of the collations, but many of the data sources which government publishes under several departments, CBHI brings them together and publishes one data source. So National Health Accounts and is by CBHI. The Planning Commission have also published, supports into that and uses that. So that's also another very important source. Nowadays, the last few years, have been enriching the data source in National Health Profile. Many of the data was not where government is trying to collate everything in National Health Profile. So if you need healthcare data, especially the public healthcare system, the number of beds, number of doctors in Medical Council of India, the operational efficiencies of the public hospital, the number of hospitals in several sectors, like the army hospitals, the industrial hospitals, the public sector industrial hospitals, they also play an important role. All that data is now available in National Health Profile. So that's another important if one wants to understand the healthcare environment in India. Another very important data source is health insurance, both public and private. Public is the PMJ. That data is still developing. For last 3-4 years. Last 2 years, they have been trying to analyze the claims which have been coming. Some have been published, and it has been enlightening. Whenever there is a healthcare project, one should try to tap into that. Then health insurance data, the private health insurance publishes some, and that's again on a macro level. To get the micro level data, one needs to go into local health insurance offices of these health insurance companies, or even the TPA offices provide some of the data components in healthcare. So that for all the sectors, not just health insurance. If you want to understand the scenario of a city, particular market, trying to meet the insurance guys would help you a lot, because they and their agents and their people keep all sector people. Insurance plays an important role in almost all the sector. So the data, because we have had IRDA for long, a regulatory body, IRDA have been forcing the insurance companies to keep a lot of data records, and only iceberg kind of a small component is visible. But if you try to dig into, there is humongous data available with insurance companies and the whole of system in India. So for end of project, one should try to find sources, friends, family in insurance companies, and that could become a great data source. Hospital providers, now that's another component. Hospitals can be broken into several kinds of hospitals, from smallest 5-bed hospital to a 1,000-bed hospital, and each behave very differently. Data for corporate hospital is available, available in this, that if you ask and you have good influence, they have the data, they do record the data, but hospitals have no clue of their own data. And it's not that they just don't want to share that data with you, they actually don't write it at all. Their understanding of annual data. If you go to many of the hospitals and ask for data, they may be able to tell you that day's numbers. But if you ask, sir, mahine mein kitne hua, probably he'll not be able to figure it out and tell you that. So, but then large component of healthcare provider data, we have to do primary research for that. We conduct structured and unstructured, both kind of interviews to collect the hospital information. This is how we define timelines for a feasibility, small feasibility project. 8 to 10 weeks is what we give. We break the whole into secondary research and primary research. We don't put, research is a very important component of each of our strategy projects, but then even clients don't want to put down primary researchers, because that also is the cost, and they want to rely more on our experiences. Because of that, projects which we do in strategy, we have to reduce the research component. Even if we think that market, we should do further research, and further research could help us qualify the project in a better way. But because of the client pressure and the financial pressures, we actually don't do large researches in most of our projects, because the main component has to be strategy, right? I think we have still have time, so should we have some questions here? Are we all there? Very you guys have very I thought, this was what I wanted to tell you about proposals till now. And if you want to understand how we function more in that sense, I'll be happy and glad to explain some of the other components we undertake during proposal stages and discussions with the client before starting the project. Because it would be better to deal with the project component in the next half of the sessions, second half. So if you want to grill me on a few things, I'll be happy to. I'll try to answer. I mean, I'm very afraid that what kind of questions can come, but I'll love to answer some.
Can we discuss about how to write the proposals first for the consultancy purpose?
Sure. I mean, this was the kind of proposal I thought, so this was a proposal. There are two components of proposal, two types of proposals we actually encounter. One is very different from the other. The private sector proposals are very different from the response we have to give for public sector RFPs. Right? Even large companies produce RFPs, but responding to the even large from private companies is very different from the proposals the RFP responses we do for the public sector companies. Since the public sector companies give RFPs which have a lot of things very defined, most of the components have to be in a way answer the proposal has to a certain format which to follow. It's already pre-given, predefined. So that binds us from a creative point of view. Creative and even if we think there could be a lot more we can do for the client, we are not able to give that to the client. Several times in public sector proposals, even the developmental agencies kind of a proposals. I have done humongous work with World Bank, the International Finance Corporation. I have realized that they structure the proposals in such a closed way that great good consultants are not able to give the kind of values they would have otherwise been able to give. Even I can tell you, a week earlier we were putting up a proposal for World Bank IFC, and the proposal had certain things defined in a way that we realized whoever has made the RFP hasn't ever entered a hospital. Now they wanted to convert hospitals of a state government, district hospitals of a state government, into medical colleges. We realized it was so theoretical that they did not understand how hospital functions. They did not understand what all are required for a medical college to set up and operate, and they demanded things which were completely irrelevant. The kind of research and the surveys they wanted us to do the kind of people they wanted us to hire and meet were completely irrelevant to the sector, so to say. So government RFPs are very closed-ended, very defined RFPs. While responding to that, we are not able to properly give what we want to give. Let me share one of the RFPs. I think that would give you understanding in that sense. Yeah, I'm sharing it. This was the medical college proposal which we were creating. The approach and methodology piece is this. I have deleted other components from this. Now, this is how they give task A, task B, task C, and task D. This is how they defined it in the RFP. We were bound to follow this format of it. After reading the proposal, we realized that many of the components of each of the tasks, they are not exclusive at all. But then they still want, so each of the component would be duplicating the tasks. The timelines, they define the timelines in the project also. Though we could raise a query for that, but then the problem with that is that, since they don't understand the sector, they are not flexible towards that. So not realizing it, duplicating the work makes it difficult. That and responding to a RFP compared to giving a proposal, one of the very important components I've realized is that we should always use 100% of the terminologies used in the RFPs. 100% of the terminologies. We could have named this phase something else. Like we did going further in this project, but then unless until we follow the terminology to the core, there is a high chance that somebody reading the RFP response on the other end may not be at all from the sector, and he's just ticking the components that, yeah, this was given in the RFP, have they covered it? So if we don't use the terminologies in that sense, that becomes a problem for us. Even if our proposal is the best, they may not even understand the proposal in that sense, because they don't understand the sector, and they just are there to tick mark whether we have covered or not. So that becomes a problem many a times. So this is what I keep on telling everybody in my team, that follow the terminology in RFP to the core. Don't ever deviate from the terminologies in the RFP. Everything you define or redefine or reach to after a definition has to be the same terminology which was used in the RFP. So what we did in this case is that though they gave us in this form task A, task B, and task C, we actually further broke each of the tasks, which was not given in the RFP, but to stand out from the other responses, which would have just answered the RFP queries. We actually went a little far and redefined some of the components. But again, as I said, under the gambit of terminologies which they gave. So within that, we broke task A into several further steps. And rather than, so this is my style of creating proposals. Rather than write paragraphs and humongous text components, I try to be very precise and bulleted in even in word proposals. PowerPoint proposals are very simpler in that sense. There you can bullet every point and even the client can understand it clearly. In Word proposals, many a times, because we have to create such a large text and we have to respond in a larger format, many a times it becomes confusing for the guy on the other side to read and decipher it. So what I found a way long back in my consulting career, that even in Word, I try to create it in such a way that it becomes more or less like PowerPoint decks. And rather than write paragraphs, I just use small paragraphs and most of the other components are bulleted. So that stands out while somebody is analyzing a proposal even in Word format. So that has always been my suggestion to all my colleagues all through my consulting career. If you can always use PowerPoint to give proposals, even reports, so to say. Today, because of lack of time and the seniority of people, nobody wants to read a 100, 200 page kind of a document. Everybody tries to just, brush through the documents. And if you want the other guy to read through all your components, try to keep the text less and more visual in that sense. So all my proposals have always been very pictorial, graphical, bulleted, and my experience have been that, they always stand out. I always got, even if I haven't won many of the proposals, but then I have always got responses and queries from the client based on those proposals, because they were able to read through the proposal, right? So that has always been my suggestion, that try to not create huge paragraphic proposals, so to say, for any of the responses, even the public sector Word kind of RFP responses there also. So this is one thing. And I showed you the PowerPoint proposals we do. There it becomes much easier to be creative, much easier to be to show the flows. Like there's this flow. So each of the component breaking, I have defined objective of each of the stage, whatever stage will be in, what are the key activities we will be doing, and final deliverables of each of the stage. What would be the outcome of each of the stage? Now, a client can always, collate this in one page, and they can understand how his final report would look like. What all he would go when get when the project is over. So every gets. The brunt of it sometimes, that writing too much detail about deliverables also at times becomes a hassle for a consultant. There are some clients who stick to the words, the label names, nomenclatures, and when the project is over, especially it happens, sorry to say, with the elder clients, after an age, they tend to check each of the components given in the proposal. They don't bother about the outcome of the research. They don't bother their main purpose, scope have been fulfilled or not. Rather, they start ticking each of the component. Oh, you wrote this, covered this or not? In which page have you covered this? At times I have in the proposal you gave the flow of the project. Obviously the flow will be different according to each of the project. We have to during the project decide how and it has to be delivered, right?
Sir, Ankur sir.
So that
Ankur sir. Sir, your voice is breaking a lot, sir.
sorry. Is it better now?
No. It has not improved.
Okay. Let me give me 1 second. I'll log in again. Is it better now? Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is better.
Sorry, at times internet, fails you.
Not an issue, sir. Please continue, sir.
So I'm not sure how much I was able to, get to you all. If somebody can, let me know till where you all were able to hear, and do you need me to explain it again?
So you were talking about RFQs? There, after that, we could not hear you actually.
Sorry, after what?
After you were talking about RFQs, and after that, we could not hear you.
Okay. So as I tried to explain, and I hope most of the components went through, that most of the public RFPs are large and very well defined. So we are bound into their structure, their nomenclature. We have to follow that to the core.
Sir, it is breaking again, sir.
Let me switch off the camera and get the mic closer. Is my voice better?
Yes, sir. Now it is better.
Okay, I've got the mic closer to me. Do let me know if needed. I can switch to a Bluetooth mic.
Sir, again, it is breaking.
Give me a second. Should we go for a break and come back so that I can also work on the internet?
So we will have to take a break because I think your system, we are not able to hear you anything.
Yeah. Let me. So let's rejoin. What time should we rejoin, ma'am?
Sir, it would depend on how much time you take, because we will be doing the lunch break at 12:30. Sir, the lunch break is scheduled at 12:30. So before that, the time you take would be enough, I think.
Okay, so give me 5 minutes. I'll rejoin in 5 minutes again.
Sure,
We all
sure.
can rejoin in. Right. Okay.
Dear participants, kindly open your video to have so that we can have a group photograph till Ankur sir joins. He'll be joining in a minute or two.